So welcome back. In our first week of Close Contact for Couples with PD, we watched Mose and Duff explore touch and weightedness. And now in week 2, we're going to concentrate on ways to balance in space, standing up with a partner, and also figure out the best strategies to help a partner out of the chair. So this involves not just weight, but friction and momentum. So let us play with weightedness. Hi, Mose and Duff.
Hi, everyone.
So now that you're standing, I'm thinking you probably did something like this when you were kids. I want you to hold your forearms, hold one another's forearms, and move toward and away from one another. So the idea is to eliminate yanking. Don't yank one another. Remember not to use any thumbs. Yes, lovely. So can you show everybody your nice open palms on one another's arms? Yes, good. Great. Okay. It is not about who's stronger. So you're just using your own weight to produce this force. And wherever your partner is, you supply the other foot. So if your partner is off balance, your body and your weight are the extra pedestal holding them there. And this way the center stays between you. Nice. Okay, now Mose, standing in place, just start to give Duff more of your weight. And Duff, as she comes toward you slowly, don't you move at the moment. She's going to come toward you slowly. Put your hands on her upper chest so you can just hold her on a diagonal. You're going to be standing straight and just hold her up. Mose, just give him all your body weight. Yes. Yes, nice. Okay, I just want her to feel supported. All right, now, carefully, I want you to switch roles. Obviously, he's taller and he weighs more. So be considerate of one another's capacity. Yes. If you feel that you want to talk about it, why don't you do that?
It's hard to hold you up. Is it easy to hold me up?
No, it was hard as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's change the balance. So Mose, you're going to surprise Duff by starting to lean in a different direction. So maybe as you're coming toward him, you switch the weight on one foot so that you're maybe on a diagonal. And Duff is going to counter that. He has to move with you and feel which way you're going. Her center of gravity is going to move. Okay. All right, let's try it the other way. So Mose, let Duff move toward you. So Mose, stand up straight. Because now you're holding his weight. Yes. And he's just going to shift a little bit. So it's almost like he's arcing from one side to another. Right? Now let's just try it bracing both of your hands against his upper arm. So he's going to have a little more play. So Duff, turn your side to her. Turn the side of your body all the way, and your feet too. Right. Now, Duff, Mose, put both of your hands on his upper arm. Yes, like you're going to tip him over like a teapot. Right. And as he starts to put weight on a front foot, so maybe put weight on your left foot, you're going to have to move that hand to counter his weight. Duff, you're going to come toward her, lean toward her from your opposite foot. Yeah. Tell him what to do.
Okay. Yeah. Can I move my hand?
Yes, that's what you're doing. Maybe he wants to turn all the way around. You're going to keep him from falling on the ground. Okay, and Duff, you can move your feet.
Okay. Let's try it. I'll move my feet as well.
So let's assume you're going to move in a circle and she is going to support you even as you're leaning.
So start.
Yep. Good. Great. You may have to move with him. Make sure he doesn't fall. Good. Keep going in the same direction just so we can see what's going on. And Duff, you can stand up straighter. You don't have to. Yeah. Right. Because that way she's taking the weight of your whole body, but you don't feel like you're going to fall, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, let's do it another way. Put your feet closer together and hold forearms and lean away from each other like a little back bend. Yeah, you're holding forearms. Your feet are closer than your heads because you're going to do a little back bend away from each other. So Mose, you have to counter whichever amount of weight. Lean back, lean back, lean back.
Both of us or just one of us?
Both of you at the same time, because what we want is for your center of gravity to stay where your hands are. Well, yes, yes, yes. And because you weigh different amounts and you're different heights, you have to adjust to one another. Is it a half a gallon of milk? Is it a small car? How much weight do you have to supply on the other side of the center of gravity? Beautiful. Okay, come back together. All right, let's now see how we equalize weight going up and down. So now hold forearms, and we're just going to face each other and together do a little squat, and then as you feel comfortable, lean back and see if, I'm sure you did this as kids, see if you're really holding on to each other, and it will pull you out of the squat to standing as you pull toward one another and back to the center. Yes, yes, and keep that going. All right.
Again?
So one piece of you, the top pieces of you were apart, making your center in the middle. And then as you came back together, the top pieces of you have to come back together, right?
Wow.
And your hips will be further apart. So leaning, 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 allowing, and come toward each other, even more toward each other, touch, touch, touch. Yes, perfect. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to practice getting out of a chair. So this now involves sharing weight when one person's higher and one person's lower, instead of what we just did where you're at the same level. So, okay, Mose, you can sit down. And remember that you're going to put your back against the air, not against the chair, because you want to get up, right? It's your heartfelt desire to get out of the chair. So now, this movement can be done in 3 different ways for the purposes of this class. It can be done with one person standing in front of the other, what I call the hug, which everyone seems to like the best. It can be done from exactly where Duff is right now. That's the second way, coming up under the armpit. And then there's a circular way that we're also going to try, which also works in a car. But let's try the hug to begin with. So Duff, come around and stand in front of her. Now, the important part of this is that the person in the chair is the director of the action. The person standing is just doing your bidding. And so if you say, I want to give you this much weight, or that's too much pulling, or no thumbs, please, the person standing has to listen to all that, all right? So you are the director, Mose, and Duff, you are the helper. All right, so Mose is going to sit forward, and your feet, both of you want to be hip width apart. And Duff is going to come and put his right foot in between your legs. So he's going to be closer to you. And then he's going to come over and put his arms underneath your armpits. And in whatever way is good for you, yep, link them in on her back. Or come back 1 second and just look at what I'm doing. Especially when we do it the other way, women tend to have smaller hands, so rather than linking them here, which kind of stops you, you're going to open all your fingers to put them on her back. And you will do the same, all right? So we may shoot this again from the other angle. But anyway, you're going to come forward, put your hands under her armpits, and hug up like both of your necks and heads together. And you're going to start to rock forward. So Mose is going to count. Wait. Mose is going to count. You're going to count and 1 and 2. And on 3, when she says 3, the impetus will be to get up out of the chair. So Mose, you're telling him both with words and also with the rocking action that you're doing in the chair, how much assistance you need. Some days you may need very little, other days you may need a lot. And the biggest key also is to start where you're kind of perched on the front of the chair. Great. Okay, you guys, talk it out. Good. So, in that case, when you begin, Duff, to take her weight, she still hadn't really rocked all the way forward. And I'm going to ask her to sit down again and just do some rocking by herself. You know the old thing, yes. Nose over knees, nose over toes, right. If she has not done that, then when you come toward her, your weight is on top of her. And maybe what you want to do is separate, and then once she's up, put your heads back together again.
Okay.
Okay.
Try it again.
Okay.
I can't rock. Because
can't.
I can only rock so far because his shoulder is right there.
So tell him what to do.
Move your shoulder. 1 and 2 and 3.
Good. And yes, and see what he just did? He came back toward you. And I want you, after you get out of a chair, the really important thing, both of you have been unstable and moving, so I want you to stay for at least a moment until the person who was in the chair says, I'm on my 2 feet. All right, switch around, other person in the chair. What does Duff have to do first?
I'm on the end of the chair,
Okay.
and then I'm going to start rocking. Okay, when I count to 3, then we're going to come up. Ready? So 1 and 2 and 3.
Great. Now, Mose, I don't know if you were aware, you took a couple of steps back because you thought his momentum was coming too fast toward you.
Yeah.
So you can either tell him to slow that down or, again, press toward his body to kind of consolidate rather than if you start moving backward and the impetus is coming up out of the chair, his weight may come back on top of you, and you don't want that. So try that one again.
I'm on the end once again.
You're doing great.
Ready? Okay, hold on harder. Ready? That's it, ready? 1 and 2 and 3.
Yes, all right. So for a smaller person, and this is true, it may be easier for you, instead of having your feet side by side, have one braced behind you.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So
So
one
can you
in
just
between
show
the
that
knees.
for the camera? Show
Yeah.
how you're going to stand now?
Yeah, so one in between the knees. And then one
Yes,
back.
and the other one back, exactly,
That's better.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, great. Now, we're going to try the second one. So as long as you're up, Mose, you're going to go behind him. And you're going to hook one arm underneath his armpit, your right arm, yes. And the other, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have to move to the side of the chair so you're, yeah. Now, Duff, if you are particularly one-sided, you may want this on one side or the other,
Perfect.
right?
The right.
This is
He's
perfect.
right-handed, so.
Okay. All right. So you're going to brace one hand, your back hand on his back, and your front hand is going to hook underneath his armpit. So, yes. Yes. Good. And so here, you're both going to be doing, and again, Duff is going to give the cue 1, 2, and 3, and you will be taking one step. As he stands up out of the chair, you're going to have to take one step forward with him so that you can also be standing up and bracing him so he doesn't fall backwards.
Okay, so
Okay,
we got the 3
try it.
again. 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Good. Okay. And again, stay there. You want to switch roles?
Okay, I give on this side.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Good.
Doesn't he?
So don't
Yeah, right
cross.
there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you
Oh,
have to
good,
have
you
one
tell
leg
him what to
behind
do.
the other.
Hmm?
You have to
Got
have
it.
one leg behind the other.
Okay.
And one. Slow down, slow down. And one. And two. And three.
So I just want to point out, because we can't all see this, that that hook underneath the armpit allows you to also take her forward as well as up at the same time. So it's like you had a shopping bag. So you're lifting it, but you're bringing it out in front of you, right?
Try that.
So just let's demonstrate that. Yes, good. And if I were you, I wouldn't, don't clamp down on her shoulder. Just, again, let your hands be open. Because she's going to be moving under that hand, right? And you don't have to hold his hand on your shoulder. You can have it anywhere that feels comfortable, but usually with momentum, you want your arm to be moving in the same direction as your body. Good.
Okay.
Good, because that'll give him a little help. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah? Great.
Yeah. That makes more
Look.
sense. It feels more comfortable.
Great. Wonderful. So for this third way of getting out of a chair is actually getting out of a car seat, which becomes even more difficult to maneuver somebody's weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 2 props, one of which is a plain old plastic bag from your supermarket. Anything, you can just take your apples out and stick the bag on the seat. And then the other is a thing called a gait belt. And you will have received a gait belt before the beginning of this program. Mose is now demoing. It is a belt that fits basically any sized person, and you'll see it has 3 sets of hand holds. 2 of them are right on the back of the waist, and then one is toward the front of the clip that holds the belt on. So Mose is going to put this belt on and sit down on the plastic bag in our imaginary car. And this belt adjusts from pretty small to pretty large. And it's a webbing belt, so it's really secure. You can pull on it all you want. It's not going to fall apart. And it's used a lot in physical therapy, especially when getting people out of wheelchairs. And just even if you don't need it now, it's a good thing to have around. Okay, so here we are seated in the car. And Mose is going to come to the front of her chair by swiveling her body. And you'll see when you sit on this plastic bag, whether you're just doing it in your living room or you're doing it in the car, it kind of makes you like a lazy Susan because it's very slippery, wonderful. It allows you to move a lot more in a circular way than you could ordinarily. But we still want her to be at the front of the car seat to start. And what she's going to do is we're going to pretend that the side of this chair is the side of the car. We have the car door open, so she's going to hold on to the handle and swivel herself around so that she can take both of her legs out of the car. And if for any reason your legs are not working today, your partner can physically move your legs out of the car to do this. If it's a low enough car, you may be able to get your feet right on the pavement, and otherwise they're just going to be on the edge of the bottom of the car. Don't let them dangle in space if you have a high car. Okay, Duff. Duff is going to come around and he's going to grab the handle with his left hand on the side of her waist and then the nearer back handle, and she's going to hug him again. He's going to pretend that his back right foot is now off the pavement, out of the car, Both of his feet are on the pavement. So you have to imagine that her legs are higher than his at the moment, probably. And as she gives him the cue, first he's going to maneuver her side to side, until she's right on the lip of the car seat. You can just tell him to do that.
Okay.
And then, using the handles, he is going to pull her toward him. And before they do this, she's going to give him the cue, the momentum cue. And as she comes toward him, now remember, again, this is leaving one level and going to a lower level. He's going to lean back toward her so their center of gravity comes back together again. Let's give it a try. Good. Yes, you'll be a little unstable. It's all right. Stay there. Okay. Now, Mose, give him the belt. Since many more men have Parkinson's than women, I'm going to assume that the helper person is going to be smaller and lighter and shorter than the partner. So it's really important to see how, again, this physics of the two bodies together works. So he's putting on the belt. He is going to shimmy side to side until his legs are out of or on the side of the car or actually even on the pavement. And Mose is going to come in and grab the two handles, one on the side of his waist and one on the back of his waist. And again, even for a small person, these handles should fit pretty well so that you don't feel you're really reaching. And now, Duff is going to give her the cues. She's going to shimmy him forward on the seat as much as she can and take her right foot back so that she is balanced on the back foot when he comes toward her.
2 and 3.
Great. And lean back toward him so that you, again, equalize the weight of the two bodies. Good. Excellent.
Oh, good.
Terrific.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to do getting out of a car using the gate belt and the plastic bag, just as we practiced inside the house. And now we're going to put the plastic bag on the car seat. And Mose is going to take a seat inside the car. So she is now the passenger. And as in most cars, you're kind of leaning all the way back. You're not in a position, you're not in ready position to get out. So as she pulls herself forward using a handhold from the upper side of the car, she's going to move on that plastic bag, swiveling a bit, and see if she could get one leg out and the other leg out. Now again, their car is pretty close to the ground, which is terrific. If you have a higher car, you're going to have to put both feet on that running board. Right, you don't need to. So Duff is going to come toward her, and now he's going to put one foot between her feet and the other foot braced backwards. The thing that they really want to think about, aside from the momentum and holding onto the gait belt that she's wearing, is making sure their heads are protected. So as they rock together, Duff is going to try and protect her head so she doesn't wham it on the top of the car. So he has a lot of work to do here. And she's just going to put her hands around his waist and begin. She's counting. Hold together. Good. All right. So I want to see the bigger person. Yes, I want you to switch. And you really have to watch out for his head because it's higher than your head. So Duff is going to sit on that plastic bag and hold on to help swivel his legs out of the car or onto the running board, depending on your car. Yeah, and you can use two hands also. And Mose is now going to try and grab both pieces of that gait belt, or at least one if she has to protect his head. Counting. Okay, so let's try that again. So Mose, instead of really stepping back as he's coming out of the car, if you can start with one leg braced further behind you. So yes, Mose, so that you have like a runner's stance, bracing yourself further backward. Good. Protect his head. Nice. And stay together. Wait. Nice. That was great work. And we really spent the second lesson learning about the physics of two bodies and how weight has to be shared evenly, no matter what position you're in. If you're going up and down, if you're going side to side, if one of you's going forward and the other one's going back, you always have to find your center of gravity. So these techniques that we learned getting in and out of chairs, in and out of a car, are really going to be essential as we move on to learning about friction in the next segment and sticking to one another even as we move on uneven surfaces. See you then.